welcome back to this part, is it 5? Is it 5? Wow. Part 5 of this series on the costumes in the Wheel of Time. This deep dive into, as the title says, the hidden clues and details that were just in plain sight in the costumes of the characters in the Wheel of Time TV show. I'm having so much fun with this series. I had such a great time talking with Pez, who is a costume expert. She studied costume design in school, and Bree, who is a best-selling author and obviously has a lot of understanding of storytelling. And this was such a good conversation. This part of the video, we are talking about the costumes worn by, you knew she was coming, right? Nynaeve, my girl. And costumes worn by Perrin and Moiraine. But this is only part 1 of the costumes worn by Moiraine, because Moiraine wore a lot of clothes. So you can catch part 2. I look forward to that in a upcoming video. So without further ado, let's just jump into it.
Let's be nerdy, babe. Let's be nerdy, let's be nerdy. Let's be nerdy, babe. Let's be nerdy, babe. Let's be nerdy, let's be nerdy,
babe.
Nynaeve.
Our girl!
I love her. My girl. That's my girl. Okay.
Yeah, she just gets progressively yellower, doesn't she?
She does.
She really, really does. So, okay, why don't we begin at the beginning with her? I guess. There's not much to talk about with this. I guess it's asymmetrical.
Right. It's asymmetrical, and the thing that I thought was interesting is when she's in the Two Rivers, we see her wear 3 colors. She wears green, she wears yellow, and she wears brown. And when you know something about the Aes Sedai, all 3 of those colors to me make sense for her as possible Ajas. And especially in the show, I thought she was going to go green. I really did. And they were dressing her in green, and I'm like, they're telling me she's going to go green. No, yellow. And she wears the yellow closest to her skin, and it's the one that's the most covered up most of the time. So, and it has pockets.
Yes, Pez called them green magic ladies and yellow magic ladies.
Yes.
And she was theorizing, because she'd seen the trailer, that there would be a rainbow multi-class magic lady.
Ooh.
And that Egwene was going to become one, so...
Oh my god. Of course she would. Of course she would think that. You are so smart.
With this costume, there's so much to love. One of my favorite things was that I called this her Two Rivers belt. I was like, oh, this belt, it's meant to be the rivers. And then they did the costume documentary, and they're like, yeah, it's the rivers. I'm like, oh, I'm good at this.
I wonder if this is like a wisdom sort of thing, because like the river does seem like the women's circle thing, and like the wisdom is the leader of that. So that could be like a symbol. Yeah.
And she was tending the sacred spring, which is connected to the river. So yeah, I think that makes sense. And I've gone back and forth on what the leaves on her coat are supposed to be. And my current theory is I think they're nettles. I think she's wearing
that is perfect for my girl. Yes.
Because she's a little prickly, but we love her.
I love her so much. So much.
And she's got the fur coming out of the coat, which is a nod to her skill as a tracker. Yes. But it's also, it could be wool. It could absolutely be wool, which is a nod to the Two Rivers, and the fabric is certainly wool. So there's just a lot going on in terms of the story that the coat is telling, and I love it.
It is. Oh, it's so good. And
and the plaid, the yellow skirt is definitely plaid.
Yeah. Yes. And in this light, her blouse, which reads green in the Two Rivers, reads much more yellow.
It does. Yeah.
And I think this is actually a different blouse for her as well. It closes in a different way. So I think
it's not the same as the one she wore in the Two Rivers. No. But this is in the final episode. It does kind of look like it looks like a light green. This is the episode in which she is like literally fighting Trollocs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
I love her belt, and that she has like all the little like instruments of her trade, and she has like, a pouch that has everything in it, and also, she's got a low cut V, but she's got something underneath it because,
that's Nynaeve.
That's Nynaeve.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's going to be protecting herself.
Except except when she isn't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Except when she's protecting everyone else.
Yes.
Okay, I don't like. Yeah, she's another one who I don't think she changes her clothes very much.
No, most of the Two Rivers characters really don't change their clothes very much, and so it's more about watching for what are the changes made to their costumes, what are the subtractions or the ways that they've been distressed in some way. But I do like that in this shot you can absolutely see that her skirt is plaid. It shows up more strongly here in Tarvalon, which is kind of interesting.
That is interesting, yeah. What I noticed costume wise in this one after like reading your notes was this is a moment where I feel like she's feeling incredibly vulnerable, right? Because Moiraine is like basically this to me is like that moment in the books where Moraine's like, you can channel and I have proof, and Moraine's like, or 90's like, fuck you, and I'm gonna cry about it. And
yes,
that's what this scene looks like to me. And in your notes you said like as they take the layers off, so she's not wearing her jacket, so she's vulnerable, she has less layers, but she's covering herself. Like she's trying to protect her body.
She's covering herself. Her body language is very closed. And I mean, she's literally got her back up against a wall in Tarvalon. That's the position she finds herself in, literally as well as figuratively. I just love Nynaeve. I there's nothing specific. I just love her. She's wonderful.
Sorry, I just realized that we could look maybe closer at her.
Yeah.
I think Nettles might be right. I think you might be right.
I think you got it. I think you got it.
Yeah.
I went back and forth for so many times and I'm like, no, it's Nettles. She's prickly.
It's perfect for her.
It really is. And she'd probably be like, yes, I use these in my herbal remedies. This is wonderful. And probably the seamstress who made that coat for her back in the Two Rivers is like, yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at.
Yes. Oh, man.
Thanks for the pre-wedding spanking.
Sorry. I love that you created a backstory for the seamstress.
It seems like every time they talk about the Two Rivers, Nynaeve's like, yeah, I spanked somebody because they were having sex before they got married. And it's like, okay, Nynaeve, we need to just like dial it down just a little bit, okay? Like maybe a stern talking to.
Oh, the spanking. This picture showed up when I was looking up pictures of Perrin. Did we ever see him wear this? I don't know that we did in the show.
And this was a promo pic
image,
that they released.
Is it a wolf? Or
it would be so cool. I mean,
I know. I want it to be a wolf.
Yeah, it'd be a bit on the nose, but it also would be really cool if it was a wolf.
Yeah.
Okay, so this, I mean, there's a lot to talk about here, right? Well, two things at least that I can see, but
yeah. So one of the things that I love is that Perrin's costume is consistently showing metal bits. He's a blacksmith, and not everybody would pay for metal buckles and metal buttons and things like that because they can make them out of other things. But I love that Perrin is consistently in them. I feel like it's a really strong nod from the costume and props team to his actual profession.
Right.
Not that we get to see him do it very much even in the books, but and of course the fur.
Yes.
On the cuffs. Like
yes.
It's right there.
Yeah. I mean, he's a puppy.
He's a puppy. He is.
Is right there. Yeah.
And I also like that he's in so much darker colors than the rest of the Two Rivers gang, because he's not fighting the literal shadow the way that Rand is, and he's not trying to get out from under a literal shadow like Matt is, but he has his own internal darkness that he's struggling with, and we can see that in his clothes.
Yeah. He has another, like, he's one who does change clothes.
Yes.
He has a red shirt.
Thanks, Eamon Valda, for the wardrobe change.
Yes. But I will, like, it just thinking about it now, literally never had this thought before, but interesting. Wolf Boy has a shirt in a dark kind of dried blood color.
Yep.
Interesting.
He does.
Interesting.
And I'm just noticing that there's a hammer on that little curtain there for that shop.
Yeah.
He was trying to sneak off to a forge again, wasn't he?
He might have been. It's like, please let me go hit things with my hammer. That's not a euphemism for anything.
Not at all.
Okay.
So it is a gory shot. But what I noticed was when they were in Shadar Lagoth, I noticed Perrin's ring. He's wearing a wedding ring. And it appears to be of two hands clasped together with like the fingers woven together.
Yes.
And Laila is wearing another version of that ring. You can see both of the rings in the scene where Laila dies briefly, but they're wearing matching wedding rings. And it's just like,
they probably made for each other
that
or
they
for
probably
themselves.
made for each other or themselves. And it's just like, oh, now I feel even sadder. Thanks.
Oh, you have the scars thing? You have that scars?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to just say, like, because we just looked at the picture with the belly, the dying, and I know that there were a lot of people who were saying she was pregnant. That's why he was, that's why they kept showing him doing that. And I was like, no, you guys. They kept showing her grabbing his finger because that was their thing.
Yeah.
And then she does it to say, I love you when she's dying.
Yeah.
Like in the scars thing, you can see her doing it. She's going to grab his little finger because that is somehow their little, I love you.
And you can kind of see his ring there. I mean, you can't see the motif of it. The time you see the motif the clearest is when he and Matt are in the city together and Matt is handing over the dagger. And I was wondering if Layla's scars were meant to be wolf bites when I first saw this in this show, but I think it's actually meant to show she is also a part of the women's circle and has gone through the same thing that Egwene has.
Yeah, been through the river. That's what I think it is. Because Egwene had some marks kind of like this.
Yeah, Egwene had a deep cut on her arm. Like you could see the blood seeping through the fabric at one point. When I saw this shot, I thought, oh, blacksmith scars. But,
that could be too. But I felt like it was the river. I think that's my
your headcanon for it.
Yeah, that is my thing. Yeah, here's a good shot of Egwene wearing all the colors and Perrin in black.
Yeah, this is the one where like, see, it's a striped stole.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's not subtle at all, is it?
No. No. Like, she's just, hi, look me, future Amerlin. What are you up to, puppy?
I also really like that in the show, Perrin has the beard from the start. Yes.
Oh, Moiraine.
Moiraine's got some.
She's our other clothes horse.
Yes, she very much is. So first thing I want to talk about, just because I have to, is where her authoritative queer suspenders.
They're wonderful.
They are.
I hope you're going to put that authoritative queer suspenders.
They really are. Like, this show came out about the time that, had it become canon? I don't know if it had actually become canon that the 13th Doctor was queer. But it was like, there was a lot of talk because she was seeming pretty queer. And then she came out in suspenders and I was like, are suspenders going to be the new TV show? Shorthand for queer lady. Is that going to be what it is? Because I approve. If it is,
more suspenders.
Yes,
for everybody,
for everyone. Anyway, there's not much else to say. Just look at her suspenders. She has suspenders.
They're wonderful, and I love how they connect to all the different aspects of the leather that she wears. Like the shoulder piece ties into them. She's got a pouch that ties into them. All sorts of stuff. It shows up the most clearly in that documentary where you can actually see them making the costumes behind the scenes. They have a dressmaker's form that has all of it on, and I just loved seeing all of it.
So yeah, like the connection between the suspenders. Like, I'm sure suspenders have function.
They do.
I don't really care about the function because they just look super sexy.
They're great.
Yeah, they really, really are. But yes, they would serve a function. Yeah, like I had some people in my comments go, "It's not suspenders; it's a holster." Okay. Sure. But a holster makes it sound more functional. So,
yeah,
authoritative queer holsters. I prefer suspenders.
Well, she likes to keep us in suspense, so anything she wears could really be called a suspender.
That's very, very true. Very, very true. Okay, that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, just because, I have my priorities. She's got some.
Well, let's go to our theme. Let's go to the nakeder you are.
The nakeder you are.
Since we're right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
The fewer layers. Look at that. Does she smile like that at any other point in the show?
She
The
has
only other
slight
time I remember
smiles.
her smiling like that is when she's sassing Nynaeve and Egwene on the way to meet Swan.
And she smiles slightly with Lan. She smiles
Yes.
slightly with Lan. Yeah. Like,
I
I mean,
love
like, it's like
this.
open down the side. Like, this is, yeah. Like, look at how much
It's
skin is bared.
it's so good, and it's the only time we see her in anything but blue or white,
Hmm.
which I also really like because this is the real Moiraine. This isn't the Moiraine that's putting on a show for the other Aes Sedai or, you know, a bunch of village kids that she needs to keep in line
Hmm.
because they keep
This is,
wandering off to
yeah.
buy candy from a
Also,
man
how
named
loose
Mordeth.
it is.
It's so
Yes.
loose
Like
and
how
free.
loose and flowing. Like her dress is like freaking structured. It is
Hmm.
so restraining and confining. And this is just, she's just literally got like a piece of fabric draped over her head. She's got a blanket with very big armholes.
Yeah, very big armholes. Like, it's a poncho. Like,
She's putting her arms in her armholes.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, it just, yeah.
And this scene is meant to be in Tyr, right? And I think they said that the costume design influences for Tyr were, I think they wanted to say Cambodia, and I forget
okay.
what the other one was on the map. But I don't know very much about Cambodian dress, but I want to know, is this a traditional item or based on one?
Yeah. I don't know. The other thing I noted, and again, only I can't even say that I noted this. I'm pretty sure that Bree reported that you noted this. But they match in this scene. Like,
Yes.
she's in red and Swan is in red, and at the beginning they're both in white. Like, she comes in the room and they're both in white. Like, they are, yeah, they mirror each other.
And the other thing I noticed about
I don't know, is Swan wearing a sheet or an actual outfit?
I think
no, she's got a wrap.
Yeah, I think it's a sarong.
But the other thing I love about this, somebody had said something about how Moraine's shirt just doesn't fit in stylistically with the rest of the show, this night shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to thinking about it, and it does. But you really have to try for it, because what it fits in with is the dresses and clothing that we see in the Age of Legends in that cold open. It's the same stylistic lines. It's the same sort of fabric. This is a callback to the Aes Sedai of old.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. It is.
And I hadn't thought about it until somebody complained about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the same at all, but you can kind of see that
the same
emphasized, oversized lines, the long, structured fabrics. It's similar.
Yeah. It has the same, like, the word, I don't know if this is the correct time or way to use this word, but it has the same silhouette, kind of. Like, it's that oversized and yet structured.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that she shows up in something that's still covering her and is still kind of structured, because it's like, it is, you know, it is her in between. She's passing between worlds, and then you can tell that it's all over when she's wearing her pillowcase with armholes.
Pillowcase with armholes.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Oh,
I mean,
to die body
not
pillow.
A very robust blanket.
It's not. It really
isn't. It would not be something I would want to wear on a day with any sort of breeze. Just no.
Yes, I love that she's in blue. I saw some people complaining about the Aes Sedai dressing in their color, and when I was reading the books, that seems to be just what they do all the time. So maybe we read different things. Me and the people who didn't like that, but I liked it.
I liked it, and I also think it's just smart, because in the books there are times when certain Aes Sedai are not wearing their colors, but they think about what colors they are. And unless you're going to have people walking around being like, well, as a green Aes Sedai, I think we should do, like, no. Like,
no, use visual shorthand. It helps.
Yes.
And I also love that when they were texturing the leather that she wears on the shoulders, I love that it looks a little bit like dragon scale. Because here's Moiraine hunting the dragon all this time, and she's wearing a pattern that almost looks like dragon scale, and that just made me happy in my little nerd heart.
Yes. You were also very happy about, I forget what the word you kept using for these.
So I thought they might be Swarovski crystals, but what they showed in the documentary is they're little seed pearls that have been dyed blue. But they had to individually punch a hole for each of those and then hand sew them in, just for a concept of the labor
Wow.
on these pieces.
Wow.
And I think it speaks to Maureen's character in terms of she is a wealthy person, even without being an Aes Sedai. She's a wealthy person, and then you add the Aes Sedai thing, and yeah, she's got money, she's got power, and she's wearing it.
Yeah, yeah. And okay, as you're saying, like the leather has a dragon-esque feel. Even the shape of the shoulders feels kind of dragony to me.
It does. And
Yeah.
it's also the piece, like you said, that mirrors what Lan has going on with his shoulders as well.
Yes.
They both wear the authoritative shoulder pieces, and
Yes.
they have to, because they are the adults on this very terrible field trip that has gone so terribly wrong.
Terrible field trip. Yes, exactly. Oh, where you lost some of the kids.
Carpool parents right there.
Indeed, they are. But yeah,
3 of them went off to get candy from a man named Mordeath.
Oh God. My God. Do we have another class on stranger danger? Seriously.
Yes.
Yes, we do. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation, this part 5. In the next video, part 6, because again, how numbers work, I will be talking about part 2 of the costumes that were worn by Moiraine, as well as costumes worn by, check them out, Tam and Swan. It's kind of poetic. Her first video, she's paired with Nynaeve. Her second video, paired with Swan. I like the pairings. That was not intentional at all. But yeah, so look forward to that. That will be in an upcoming video. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments below. Anything you picked up in their costumes that we didn't talk about, or anything that particularly stood out to you. And also, are you noticing, I'm curious if other people are doing this, because I'm finding, because of this conversation, right, like we talked for 3 hours, this conversation, I am noticing things in television shows and movies that I'm watching since this conversation, in the costumes. I'm noticing when characters match, or when there's symmetry, or things like that. Are you picking up stuff like that? Has this conversation made you look at other stuff differently? Let me know. I'm really curious if I'm the only one. Anyway, yeah, like I said, comments below. And if you like my content and you want to support me, I do have a Patreon. It will be linked in the description below, so you can check that out. And to my patrons, I say this all the time, I am so grateful to you. You have no idea how you help me so much. You really do. Thank you so much. So yeah, that is linked in the description below. And with that, I am going to end this here. So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!